So I've mentioned Shai-Gilgeous Alexander here and there throughout the season, but I've never made a video about the guy, ever since I said that I liked him a lot going into the draft, so we're going to do that now. The number one thing about Shai-Gilgeous Alexander, to me, besides his size, of course, at 6'6" with really long arms, is that he knows what he is. This is not a guy who is like Josh Jackson, who is attempting to beat defenders off the dribble all the time. He's also not like Andrew Wiggins in the sense of he understands what an efficient shot is and what it isn't. This is not a guy like KCP who thinks he's a lot better than he actually is. Shai-Gilgeous Alexander understands that if he attempts to go isolation all day, or if he wants to get pick and roll after pick and roll, that he's going to have trouble, right? Because while he's very crafty and he can bust out spin moves and scoop shots and he can have these sudden bursts of speed going to the rim, he can't do it possession after possession, which is fine as long as you're not forcing the issue, and I think it shows in how good his efficiency has been pretty much all season that he gets that he can't have the offense run through him. Now, could he get to the point where the offense can run through him like that? I mean, I don't know. I don't think he'll ever be a primary guy on a really good offense, but could he be the number 2 ball handler and, let's say, maybe 3rd leading scorer on a team that can win a lot of games? Yeah, I could see it. I don't know if he's ever going to eclipse more than 17 or 18 points a game, but you can certainly be a damn good player with that. The other reason why I believe that is because his shooting, it's intriguing, but I think the amount that he takes from 3 would suggest he's never going to be a big-time shooter from out there. His form is on the slow side, but the percentages are there. I mean, his free throws are legit. He shot 40% from 3 in college. He's shooting, high 30s from 3 in the NBA. The common theme, though, is he doesn't shoot that many. He might only take about 2 a game, and he's only going to take them when he's wide open. But still, I would much rather have that than a guy who's going to force up 5 bad mid-range pull-ups a game, you know? Now, speaking of mid-range pull-ups, Shai has actually taken quite a few shots from between 10 to 16 feet this season, nearly 1/4 of his shots, and he's actually really good from that area. I guess it makes sense, because if you're not going to have the burst to get to the rim all the time, then you have to make up for that in some way, and there's certainly a right way and a wrong way to make a little bit of a living from mid-range. The big things are not hijacking the offense, and, I mean, taking them from 13 feet away is a lot better than taking them from 20 feet away, and it does seem that Shai already has that figured out a little bit. And there's certainly a chance for him to shoot more threes. Now, I don't know if he's ever going to be a guy who's taking threes off the dribble, because his release is pretty mechanical. I don't know if he could get to the point where he's just kind of slinging it to the basket without really thinking about it. So that does put a bit of a cap on his offense, but I don't think it's that bad. And I do think there's a chance that he could get to the free throw line more often. I would put more stock into him getting to maybe 5 to 6 free throws a game, more so than him attempting 5 to 6 threes a game. But even then, I think the 3-point rate could go up a little bit. The other thing I want to talk about with Shai is his potential to be a post-up player. And I think this is the thing that could get his offensive ceiling to a new level. I mean, the dude's 6'6", he's pretty crafty. Yeah, he's got to put on a couple more pounds, because I don't even know if he has that big of a weight advantage against a lot of NBA guards, but he certainly has a height. That could be the avenue to him being a more consistent scorer. I also think he has more potential as an offensive rebounder. He's averaging 1 offensive board for the season. I think he could get that up to 2 or 3. Sure, there's definitely risk in having your point guard attack the offensive boards all the time, I get it, for the sake of transition defense, but I think there's definitely room for him to grab a few more offensive boards. As far as his rebounding overall, I could picture him being really good there as well. I'm talking like 6 to 7 rebounds a game. The big thing would be if he's defending non-point guards a lot throughout his career, then that would, of course, make him closer to the basket and he can grab more boards that way. So yeah, basically what I see out of Shai is a strong all-around player who may not be elite well, actually, I could picture him being an elite defender one day, so that would be that. I guess on offense, I couldn't picture anything elite, but just a combination of everything being pretty good. I mean, if you told me that at the age of 25 years old, Shai-Gilgeous-Alexander is an all-defense candidate, he's averaging about 15 points, getting 6.5 assists, 6 to 7 rebounds, shooting 3 to 4 threes a game at 36%, let's say, shooting a solid 4 to 5 free throws a game, then I wouldn't be surprised by that. Now, there is some things to be skeptical of with Shai. He's sometimes a little too scared to shoot, especially when it comes to around the paint. Like, he'll pass out of an opportunity where he could take a shot or could draw some contact, so that could come with a little bit of time. His minutes lately have been fine, but there was a stretch this year where his minutes were a little down, and maybe Doc was pulling the leash a little bit, so I would hope that Doc is willing to sit through the ups and downs with Shai, because I do think there will still be some downs in the sense of maybe he's not as confident in his shot as he really should be, or there's a chance that his turnovers get a little worse, because that is the one thing you could look at with him is, it's like 3 assists to 1.5 turnovers. It's not ideal. You can certainly improve on it, but there is a chance that could be more of an issue than we're expecting right now. But I think it also helps that he's on a team that's really well run. A lot of veterans, and Lou Williams can still carry the offensive load, and Gallo gets a lot of shots, and he handles the ball a lot, and you have to assume those two are going to be here for at least a decent amount of time. I don't think it'll be past just next season. And then, assuming the Clippers do a good job with acquiring veterans, whether that's getting some star in free agency or whatever, then Shai could be around just a good team that doesn't need him to do too much as his offensive game grows a little bit more. Now, I guess there's a chance he could end up getting traded because the Clippers have built up a lot of assets, and they are kind of in the running for any star that becomes available via trade. Not that I think they want to do that. I think they want to keep Shai and Shamet and all these guys. But if a top player becomes available, then of course you got to think about it if you're the Clippers. But I think their sights are really set on free agency and all that. So yeah, that's my take on Shai-Gilgeous-Alexander. I like him a lot. And assuming that he just refines his offensive game and maybe gets a little more confidence and gets stronger and puts on a few good pounds throughout his career, he could be a really high impact player.